Hey adventurers, so today is going to be another book review. This is for The Green Pearl by Jack Vance. This is book 2 in the Lyonesse trilogy, and I've got several thoughts about it. So this one, of course, as with the first one, which was Soldier's Garden, this is an Arthurian adjacent story. So it's very much the same world as the King Arthur stories, but it's before King Arthur exists, before he's born, and before the Camelot storyline starts to really rise and come to the forefront of all of European stories. So that's kind of, it exists before that time basically, as well as it being on islands that Lyonesse Island does exist. That's where Tristan and from like the Tristan and Isolde story, that's where he comes from. He's some of them, sometimes he's not from Lyonesse, sometimes he's from a different place, but oftentimes he's a knight of Lyonesse or comes from Lyonesse. And so that's kind of where this series is set, is adjacent to Arthurian, off to in a land that isn't really visited during the Arthurian stories, but also it's even before Arthur is born. So that's what I mean by Arthurian adjacent. It's an adventure. It's actually like a world hopping / alternate realities type story. You visit different planes of existence. There's magic, it's fantasy, it's a fairy tale, very much like the first one. So, book 2 of the Lyonesse trilogy by Jack Vance. This was an incredible continuation of the story begun in Soldier's Garden. The atmosphere of Vance's writing is incredible, and you feel like you are in the world. It's one of the things that I had to make sure I brought out in my review for Soldier's Garden, is just how atmospheric the world is and the writing is, and you feel like you are in this world. You can see the path that they're taking, you can see the Madeling Meadow and all the she and everything, and how the whole fairyland works together and ties into the normal world, what Lyonesse looks like, like all these things, all the locations, you can see them, you can visualize them, you feel like you're in them, you feel the oppressive atmosphere in these places, but also the bright, airy, fun, fairy-like nature of these other places. You feel like you're there, and that's very cool. I love writing that can make me feel like I'm in the world. The characters continue to grow and change, the politics and struggles between nations continue to be stressed, but most importantly, the story continues. We learn more and more about this world and how it fits into Arthurian lore, but also how different the world is at this time before the rise of Arthur and Camelot. The way the magic is used and the influence it has on the world, the difference between the magicians striving for the right and those working for darkness or their own gain, all of it ties together brilliantly, but still it feels like it could be part of that Arthurian world, but also distant because it's before. And I really, really appreciate that. You see, okay, I can understand how Merlin would be this great magician after you see Shimrod and Mergen and Melanthe and all these other characters that are magical characters, and you see how they work and interact with this world, and you can see, okay, I understand how Merlin can be this and how he can be really the last vestige of this magical world in many ways. We do follow some new and different characters in book 2 than in book 1, and a good portion of the time is not spent on this earthly plane, meaning Lyonesse and the Elder Isles, but rather on another adjacent plane of existence or reality. So we go, I forget what the title of that other plane is called, but we do go to another world basically. The way it's done reminded me a lot of the Wheel of Time, first off, in Wheel of Time, you travel the ways, and that's like another plane of existence basically that messes with the time-space continuum and allows you to move and travel between places at a different rate than normal. But there's also, I believe it's book 2, that Rand uses another, somehow ends up in another plane of existence that is the same world as the Wheel of Time, as the greater Wheel of Time, but it's also different. The events have happened differently and so caused the Earth to be shaped and changed to look different and to be slightly different, to there not to be the same characters in this other place and stuff like that. So it's very cool how that all works together, and there was a lot of similarities between how this other world works in Lyonesse trilogy, and it's in the Green Pearl, but also then in how that other world works in Wheel of Time. It's definitely differently done and not in any way the same, but there are some similarities for sure, and that's what I was picking up. The magic and the influence of the Green Pearl is very interesting, and I can't help but love when an author uses the specter of something to influence the plot rather than the actual object / person themselves. This is an idea that I have always enjoyed, but I didn't really know how to put it into words until I watched Library of Alexandria's video, his review of Mistborn, and then so the Final Empire, and then was the second book called The Well of Ascension. So, and he was talking about the specter of Kelsier, and that idea of the specter of this thing. That's what I understand. I think that was him. I think he used it like that, but I don't remember exactly if that was him. I know that idea was what he was talking about. And anyways, so now I use that phrase because it works, and it's the term that I need to describe what I'm thinking of. And so the specter of the Green Pearl and the influence that it is having on this world and on this story. The way it was done here was amazing. Subtle enough that you don't necessarily realize what's happening, and even if you are looking for it, it isn't always obvious. But then when things wrap up and you understand it all, you can look back and see exactly what it all meant. The one thing I'm not sure I like, at least while I read this book, was the very ending and the relationship that seemed to come out of nowhere. It was surprising and unexpected and felt unnatural, almost like a twist for the sake of a twist. But after reading book 3, I understand why it was done. It doesn't necessarily make me love it, but I understand the reasoning for it being done and being done at that time. Other than that, a wonderful continuation of the series. It has the same shortcomings as book 1, but also the same strengths. The atmospheric and whimsical vibe of the entire story just works so well for me. So book 1, there were some cons that I had to make sure that I brought up, and I don't remember, it's been a while now since I read Green Pearl, but those cons that were in book 1, I can't exactly remember if they were in book 2, but I think there probably was some moments like that, and it's just things that are unfortunately there. They also play a part in the world, and they do lead to other things happening in the world. They have consequences, and so like I can understand it. It's not necessarily I could do without them, but they don't necessarily frustrate me to no end in this specific story because of the way that they're done. So overall, very much enjoyed the Green Pearl. I don't know if I liked it more than Soldrin's Garden. There was a lot about Soldrin's Garden that I really, really liked, and there was a lot about Green Pearl that I really, really liked. And I'm not entirely sure which one of the two that I liked more. But that is my review for The Green Pearl by Jack Vance, book 2 in the Lyonesse trilogy. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday and have our social medias linked in the description down below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching. Stay warm.